This is lesson 2.1.1, which is called Writing Equations of Lines Using Point-Slope Form. So we're going to be looking at this particular form of a line. We have three goals. We want to be able to write the equation of a line. Number one, if we're given a point and a slope. Number two, if we're given 2 points. Number three, if we're given a graph. So how do we write the equation of a line in point-slope form given one of those three scenarios? In order to understand how we do this, we first got to understand what this thing is that is called point-slope form of a line. So point-slope form of a line is literally an equation of a line. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Now each of these things that are within this equation rely on knowing two things. The first thing you got to know is m. M, we should know, is the slope. The second thing that you have to know is, what does this thing x1, y1 represent? Well, that's very simply a point. All right, so if you take the point and you take the slope together, that's how we come up with the name point slope. All right, so let's look at our first scenario. The first scenario says, can you write the equation of a line in point slope form if you are given a point and the slope? Okay, when this scenario occurs, what we need to do very simply is we take the slope, we take the point, and we plug them into the point slope formula. All right, so let's take a look at what that looks like. First off, I have a point. Remember, this is going to be my x1, y1, and there's my slope. All right, I need to use this formula called point slope, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And yes, you are expected to memorize that formula. I take all the coordinates here, y1, m, and x1, and I'm going to substitute them into the formula. I have y minus 3 equals 7 times x minus 5. That is the equation of the line in point-slope form. It's literally that easy, that straightforward. Let's take a look at the second example. So again, remember on this one, this is your x1, this is your y1, this is your slope. They want us to write the equation in point-slope form, so I start with point slope. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I'm now going to substitute those values in. So I have y minus negative 9 equals negative 7/5, the slope, times x minus, now again notice it's a negative 2, so I'm going to say minus negative 2. Now, this is not considered simplified form, so I need to clean this up. We can't have double negatives, we need to change them to a positive. So very simply the equation becomes y plus 9 equals negative 7/5 times x plus 2. And this is the equation in point-slope form. Okay, let's look at scenario number 2. Scenario number 2, what if they give me 2 points? Well, if they give me 2 points, I'm actually going to have to calculate the slope this time. So remember, how you calculate slope, that's the change in y over the change in x. Okay? Now I had 2 points, but I only need 1, so I'm going to pick 1 point. Doesn't matter which one. I tend to always do whatever point comes first when they give me a pair. I'm then going to plug that information into this point-slope formula again. All right? So let's take a look at the first example. First thing I have to do is find the slope. I know the slope is the change in y over the change in x. 2 minus negative 4 over 4 minus negative 2. All right, 2 plus 4 is 6. 4 plus 2 is 6, so I know I have a slope of 1. I have to identify a point that I want to use. So I've got the slope is 1. I'm going to use the first point, 4, 2. I take point slope formula, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, and I substitute those values into the formula. Y minus 2 equals 1 times x minus 4, and I now have an equation in point slope form. All right? So these next couple examples, I'm not going to write that formula down with it. We should know how to plug things in and what that formula is by now. Make sure you memorize it. Okay, so the next equation here, I've got 2 points. I don't know the slope. I got to find it first. The slope is the change in y over the change in x. That would be -4 over -1. Double negative, I know that the slope is going to be 4. So I have a slope of 4. Now I'm going to choose to use the first point. 2, -2. I could have chosen the point 32. I just always like to do it the same way. I always use the first point. Substitute in. I have y minus the y1, which is -2, is equal to 4 times x minus the x1, which is 2. I got to clean that up because I got a double negative. This would be y plus 2 equals 4 times x minus 2. And this is the equation of the line in point slope form. All right, scenario number 3. Scenario number 3, what if I'm given a graph? If I'm given a graph, I'm still going to do it the same way that I did when I had 2 points. I just have to identify 2 points to use. So again, we're going to find the slope. We're going to identify a point. We're going to plug it in a point slope. All right, so let's look at this first graph. Now, I'm going to choose this point and this point. Now, I would not have chosen this point right here because I don't know its exact location. It's kind of floating in between the crosshairs, as I call them, okay? All right, in this first point, first thing I need to do, I know, is find the slope. So let's find the slope. For this, I'm going to use that secondary definition that we have called rise over run for slope. I know from this first point, I'm going to count down 1, 2. So down 2 over, count to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, over 4 to the right. Simplify the fraction. I have a slope of -1/2. Okay, I need a point. Now, I'm going to go ahead and choose this first point. That point is located at -2, 3. All right, so now I take that first point and the slope, and I plug it into point slope. Y minus 3 equals -1/2 times x minus -2. Clean it up. Y minus 3 equals -1/2 times x plus 2. Now, some guys often will ask me, do I have to write that minus negative when I know it's just going to turn to a positive? Absolutely, you can just write the positive in there. I'm just showing you exactly what's happening. Take a look at this one. Let's identify this point, and how about that point? Okay, to find the slope, think rise over run. The slope is I'm going to have to go up 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go over 1. So that tells me I have a slope of 3. I need to identify a point. I'm going to use again this first point right here. That's the point -3, -4. I'm going to substitute that in the point slope, y minus -4, and again you could have just written y plus 4, equals 3 times x minus -3, and again you could have just written x plus 3. That's what I'm going to get when I clean it up. Y plus 4 equals 3 times x plus 3. What I would like you to do now is go ahead and go to worksheet 211 and please complete the assignment.